Okay.
Susan. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We're doing the chapter of Training the Young, which deals with a lot of talking to people about education, parents, older adults, talking to them about how they raised their kids, how they were raised, and just kind of passing down different types of manners, values, and beliefs and things like that. And so we're taking that and just kind of taking it from the future, not future, the past to the future.
Okay.
How do you think family is important to training the young, to education, to bringing up kids?
Family. Well, I think family is very important because I think students or children need to have that support from the parents or whoever's in their home with them. They need support as far as helping them with their homework, helping them to develop that sense of confidence within themselves, not only with education or their schoolwork, but I think that family is important just, for the overall makeup of the child. Other activities that they may participate in, whether it be sports or taking piano lessons or whatever. I think family is very important to give them that support that they need to be able to do that. What else could I say?
Do you have any children?
No, I don't. No, I just have nieces and nephews. And, I do a lot with them. I have two that are here, and I do a lot with them. I try to get them to activities that they need to go to that their parents can't, I kind of give them that support they need. My niece takes gymnastics, and so I try to go to her niece to show her that support, and she kind of has problems with confidence, and that being able to do it sometimes. And so I'm on her, and being an educator, I'm on her all the time whenever she is at my house and she spends the night with me. We're always reading and doing things like that. I think it's important that parents and families set the tone. If you want your kids to read, you need to be reading yourself and let them see you doing things, especially when it comes to education. And also, kids can sometimes inherit skills from their parents and abilities, like, with sports or, talents. They inherit that from their parents. And so I think it's important that parents tell children that, I've done this before too, and so, you may like it just like I did or whatever. Now, that doesn't always happen, Sometimes there's parents that are really good in sports and their kids aren't, which I'm hoping that doesn't happen to me. But I just think they need to be there to give them that support and give them all the things that they need to be able to do well and to be successful. Proper, food, proper clothing, all of that, I think plays a big part.
Do you see a lot of support in your Cape families? Do they do a lot with the kids?
Yes, they do. We have family reading nights. We had our Black History program last Thursday nights, and a lot of the parents came out, and not just parents. They brought their families out, cousins and brothers and sisters, aunts, grandmas, and so it was really nice to see all of them. The last few that I've had a nice turnout, nice crowd. Yeah, it's not everyone, it's not 100%, but it's been very, very well. We're good. Very well attended. So, I'm working really hard on that. I try to make contact with the parents, not only by way of letter, but I try to call them from time to time, just like with my Black History program. I thought that was just a big deal, so I thought, okay, I've got to make phone calls. I sent letters home periodically, during the week, and I tried to call and make that contact with them to stress to them how important it is. And the kids were excited about it, too, so that made it easier, made my job easier when I said, yes, she's really excited about this, or, and the parents knew that because they would go home talking to the parents about how excited they were because they all had like little parts to do in it. So, but the parents here are doing a good job though of being involved in the program. And like I said, it can only get better, but it's going really well.
And in your opinion, what does it take to train a young? What have you learned from your parents, like the values and attitudes and things like that?
Okay, I've learned, we kind of came up in a strict environment, My parents, they gave us freedom to do things, but I look at the way these kids are these days, and I'm thinking, man, we could not do that. It was very structured in our home. I come from a family of 5 children, and I was the 4th child, and it was very structured. We went to school, we came in, we had chores to do, we had our dinner, and my parents have always been very supportive in that way. We had the 3 meals a day, and We would come in after school, and we were all involved in sports, and we'd come in and we'd have our dinner, balanced meal at that, and then we knew we had to do our homework, and we had to do whatever chores we had to do, wash the dishes, or whatever we had to do that, and then we'd do our homework, and then we'd pretty much go to bed, we had free time and everything, but these kids these days, I think, just have too much freedom, and it's not structured, the parents aren't there. You have a lot of single parent homes, not saying that single moms can't, do a good job, because they can, but it just takes a lot of work. But my parents, we weren't allowed to run around. Like on Saturday mornings, a typical Saturday morning in our home was get up early. You did not lay around unless you were sick, and then you still probably halfway had to get up, at our house. But we had things to do. We were very involved in extracurricular activities. My brothers were involved in Boy Scouts. We were in Girl Scouts, so we had things going on the weekends, but we knew we had to get up and get our work done. And my parents did not. They just didn't settle for anything. You had to do a good job. And I say it was strict because if, my dad found a dish unclean, a glass unclean, everything was coming out of the cupboard, and we had to wash it. And we knew we had to do a good job, I remember times when we'd get up on Saturday mornings and my mom would have to go do whatever she had to do, and she left orders. And when I get back, I want this done, and this done, and it better have been done, we knew that. So it's just the way how you were brought up, I think, affects how you will, continue to grow into an adult. That's just all there is to it. Things, even when I was in school, these things that kids do, I wouldn't have dreamed of it because I feared my parents. They had that fear in us. They didn't kill us, but they had that fear in us until we knew we had to act right. Going to the principal's office, what's that, I didn't go down there unless it was something good, and I appreciate my parents so much for that upbringing because we thought it was, hard and strict back then, but now we're like, man, we all keep a really clean house and we're very particular about our things, and I'm thinking it just paid off, So all my brothers and sisters are doing well. I can truly say that, and it just pays off to have that strict environment. It was no, I'm going with my friends and I'll be back when I get back, or hanging out in the malls and stuff. I'm like, what in the world is this, It just wasn't like that with us. Yeah. So, but I think my parents, I think that's what made us turn out the way we did, it's because we had that strict environment, we did things together as a family, we traveled, we've been all over the place, all over the world, in the United States rather, and we drove, and, my dad tried to give us those outside experiences, so that when we came to school, it was easier for us, and things were familiar to us, once we came to school and started learning about, culture and start learning about what's going on around the world, what's out there. Yeah. So I think it just helps to have that support of the parents in every way possible in order to make a kid, do well.
Are you able to bring that structure and that discipline into your CAPE program? Or do you have difficulty because the kids don't get it at home?
Yes. That makes my job very difficult because, and like my dad says, you need, you can't do it all by yourself, and I need help from home, and that makes my job really difficult. But I am still trying to instill in them, respect for each other, respect for yourselves, taking care of yourself, having good manners when we come to snack. I think I'm pretty strict on them too, because we come in here and I'm walking around, I'm looking, sit up in your seat, and please, thank you. So it just, I don't know, it just kind of carries over. When you have that background and base, you just can't help but bring it out to whatever kid you come in contact with, be it 32 like I have or 5, You just can't help it. It's just in there and it's just going to come out regardless. And I know these kids think, gosh, Miss Ward is so mean, she's always on us, but I'm just trying to make them be all that they can be, and that's how our parents did us.
Are you originally from Muncie?
Yeah, I'm originally from Muncie. I went to Muncie Community Schools. I went here at Garfield, K through 2nd. And then we moved to Norhall Village, which a lot of people call it Halterman Village, and I went to Mitchell 3rd through 6th, and that was an experience in itself, going to a predominantly white school, but I have to say my sisters and I were accepted well there, and no one treated us any different in the school. Now, we kind of had some problems when we moved into the neighborhood, people kind of running through our yard with their cars and things like that, but after they figured out, that we weren't bad people and that we kept up like everybody else did, things got better, but we never had any problems in school, though, ever.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. It was a good experience. And I went to Northside. I graduated from Northside when it was a high school. That kind of makes me seem old. Yeah, but, I just can't stress enough about how important family and parents are, in a home. And one thing that like I said, it's a struggle with me with these students in the CAPE program because they don't have that at home,
Yeah.
But one thing I try to stress to them is it doesn't matter where you come from. You have to have it in here. And that's, again, what my parents taught us. It doesn't matter what you have as long as you take care of it, and that's what I try to stress to them. They kind of look at each other and say, well, I don't have this. They kind of get jealous of each other. But I tell them it's not what you have. It's all about how you keep it, and what you do with it, with what little you do have.
Yeah.
And I can truly say that the parents are very supportive of me. Some of them are struggling and have a hard time, trying to raise their kids and some of them aren't sure what to do with them discipline-wise, And so I do a lot of counseling, if you will, to the parents. I mean, they'll come in on any given day and talk to me about the problems that they're having, and I'll try to give them suggestions on what they can do, based on how I was raised. And there again, I mean, it's hard for them. And I told one single mom that, it's hard and she's really easy on them. And I'm thinking, you need to, And she says, well, I'll do that. She said, because I was doing that. And then, my mom told me that, I need to let up off of them a little bit. I said, well, I think you need to go back. And she says, I think I do too,
Yeah.
You have to tighten this right here. That's just all there is to it. I just don't think you can get by without doing that. I'm not saying beat them, but you have to let them feel it sometimes to know what you're talking about. And again, that's how we were raised, Now, that didn't happen to me too much at home because I had brothers. I had 2 older brothers and an older sister. And so I always, let them be the example. And so my parents, tell me once, I'm like, okay. Don't have to tell me but once. But I try to stress to these kids that, you have to be respectful of other people. You have to be respectful of yourself. And we have goals in our center. And they're called the 7 daily goals. And the first one is we will try our very best. And we go through these goals almost every day. Sometimes we may miss a day or two because we're busy. And the next one is we will believe in ourselves. And I constantly refer back to these, as much as possible. The third one is we will be responsible. I try to tell them it's important to be responsible, to remember to bring your homework back. Don't always blame it on mom or someone else. You need to be responsible for your actions. If you have homework, you need to do it. And I try to get them, kind of hyped up and tell them, don't wait on her. How about if you surprise her and get it done before she says anything, or clean your room before she says anything, I use a lot of psychology too. That helps. That's my background, but and that helps a lot. The fourth one is we will respect differences in others. I stress to them that we all don't look the same. We all don't dress the same. We all don't act the same, but we still must be respectful. And, and that's really important because kids, are really big on making fun of people and teasing. Even adults,
Yeah.
And whenever we have visitors come in, I have to really get in their stuff about, not laughing at people. Someone may come in and, act for us or something like that. And, kids just think that's, funny, especially if it's not something they're familiar with. And so I have to really get on them before we have any type of visitor come in to let them know that you need to respect all people. Someone may be of a different race or different culture, they tend to think that's funny, but I have to get on them about that. We will work together is the fifth one. And I tell them that's important to be able to get along with other people. You're not going to always work by yourself. You're going to have to get along with other people, in school, in your classrooms, getting along with your classmates, The next one, the sixth one is we will help each other. And I tell them it's important to, use manners, good manners, and help people. If you see someone needs a pencil or an eraser, if you have it, you can let them borrow it, and take care of other people's things too. And then the last one is we will be proud of our Garfield Community Learning Center. And I tell them that's just being proud of where you are, and being a part of something. And you have to learn to appreciate that. You're here because you need extra help. And Miss Ward is here because she cares about you. It's constantly talking to these kids and just explaining every single thing to them, why we do what we do. And that kind of makes things better for my center. But they're a challenge, though, all of them being together, average students being in the same classroom or the same setting. It's a challenge. But it's a lot of constant, reminding them about things, reinforcing them about, why we do what we do. A lot of that. Because if not, as much as I've taught them since the first day of CAPE, as many things we've gone over and everything, today they could come in and just act like they've never heard any of that before. So that's why I have to constantly be on top of them, constantly give them looks, even down the halls, because I don't have them until after they get out of school.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see somebody out of line, I'll look at them, you know, or if I see someone out in the hall, because their teacher set them out there, I'll come out there and look at them, you know, and they'll look down like, oh gosh, you know. But the most important thing I try to get them to see is that I do care, and that's the reason why I'm here, you know. And I think they know that, and their parents know that, which is why I have a good rapport with the parents. And I can truly say that, which is a blessing, you know. I mean, everybody likes to know that they're cared about, and these parents who are struggling and having a rough time, they need to know that someone cares about their kid, you know, and their child, and they know that, and that's the reason why I have a good rapport with them, you know. And I've tried to establish that from day one. You know, when they come in and everything, I try to get to know the parents and try to understand, you know, what they're going through. Yeah. And it helps a lot. A whole lot.
With working with Muncie's families, what do you feel is important in them and like teaching their kids? Some of them may be strict, some of them may be, you know, very, like you were telling us earlier with the other family, how she was very light on her children. What's important, do you think? Just working with them, with the families. With the families,
what do I see that's important to them? I think
with their kids.
I think just trying to get them to survive. I really do. I think that the parents, you know, it's tough out here for them. You know, a lot of them are working and trying to make ends meet. And I think what's important for them is just, you know, seeing that their child survives. Just trying to get their families to survive. Trying to, you know, just to make it out here from day to day. You know, getting them what they need. You know, if it's money for lunch, or they have free lunch here, but if it's money for a field trip, you know, just trying to make it happen. You know, I think that's important for these families right now. And I know they want the best for their children. I know these families do, but it's just hard for them because they've had such a rough way to go themselves. And a lot of it may be their upbringing, you know. Maybe a lot of them haven't had what they need, you know, what they really should have had in order to raise their children, you know. But I think the most important thing is trying to get them to just, you know, survive, and trying to get them just to get by with whatever they need or whatever they have. Like I said, I know they care for them, and I know they want them to act the right way, but they just don't know how to give it to them, because I mean, these kids are acting up every day, you know, and these parents are getting phone calls, and you can see it on their faces when they come up here. They don't know what to do, you know. They really don't. I think a lot of parents are trying to be their kids' friends these days, and there has to be a line drawn, you know. My parents didn't, you know, they didn't care anything about friends, you know. Your mother and your father, you know, we're mom and dad, we're not supposed to be friends, you know, with you. I mean, to a certain extent, you know what I mean? And these parents, they don't know anything about that, and so all they know is, you know, trying to be friends with them. A lot of them. I see that a lot.
Yeah, I have my experience with my cousin. We're about a year and a half apart from each other, but I spent a lot of time over with her. My parents were very strict, but they were cool parents. But her parents was more like her best friend, and I mean, and it was just an unstable home. But she turned out to be, you know, okay. But it's like she has 2 kids now, but she's married too. But yeah, I remember her saying that one time we were talking about it, and she's like, "Well, my mom's my friend first, you know. I can go to her about anything." And I was like, I wish I had that relationship with my mom, you know. But then at the same time, her mother had a lot of problems. You know, she wasn't a parent to begin with. You know, she was just like somebody's there holding the house, basically. So,
right. Yeah. You know what's interesting though? Some of these kids I have found, and I've seen it over and over again, they want their parents to be parents. A lot of them do, you know. They want them to be parents. They want them to discipline them. They want them to be able to tell them no, you know. And I can just sense that just from the way, you know, the attention that I give them. You know, some of them just do things to get attention, you know, in a negative way. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with this, you know, picture? But a lot of them, I mean, they're crying out, they're dying, they're wishing that their parents would be parents, you know, stand up and say, okay, you're getting ready to do your homework, you're getting ready to do this, and then you're going to do this, you know. But it's just freedom. They have all that freedom. And then some of these kids are just too young and they can't handle all that.
What do you think education means to the Cape family? How much does that mean to them?
Oh, I think it means a lot to them, because that's you know, they understand the importance of it. That's the reason why they're allowing their kids to be in the program. Now, we did have a few that weren't sure about it and would make comments like, well, no, that's too much. They've been in school all day, and you know, that's too much, and they're tired, and you know, they'll be too tired when they get home, and I won't spend much time. I won't have a chance to spend much time with them, you know. And I'm thinking, man, you know, and then there are all these families that know their kids are, you know, struggling in areas like math and reading, and they're saying, go, this is wonderful, this is great, you know, I want you to be in it, this is helping me out, you know, I hear that a lot. So they do know the importance of education. A lot of them, that's the reason why their kids are in here, and it has helped a lot of families. And I know we've had a lot of testimonials from parents. We've heard a lot of them say that, without this program, their kid would not have been, where they are now. CAPE has really helped them. They love reading now. We've heard all kinds of, positive comments about the program. So they do think that education is important. I believe that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people, it's great that some people take advantage of all the help they can get. You have a lot of families that do, a lot of them that don't, But.
Why did you want to become an educator? Was there any educator, like when you were young, maybe going to Garfield or at one of your other schools?
It's kind of funny how it happened. Like I said, my background is in psychology, and I knew I wanted to do something with kids. And so I graduated from Tennessee State University, got my degree, and I came back. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work with kids, and so I started working at Claypool just as an assistant in second grade classrooms, and I thought, gosh, I really, really like this. And, knowing that I've always loved kids, I didn't always know that I wanted to teach them, but I just knew I wanted to work with them. And so after getting that degree in psychology, I thought, well, maybe I want to counsel kids. That'd be great, And then I came back here and got into the school system, and, I went back and got my master's in education, and that's how So I started at Claypool, being around children, and knew that it was something I really, really wanted to do. And I thought, teaching, that's what I want to do, So it was a couple years later, even after I got my undergrad, that I decided I wanted to do it. So.
Why did you come back to Muncie? Why not?
Good question. We could be all day on that one. I was on a track and cross-country scholarship at Tennessee State University, and so I don't know if you guys know anything about sports in college, but it's very demanding. It's fun, but yet it kind of turns into a job. And I was very focused in college. I was all about. I was. I know.
About how you got an education and how you got back to Muncie.
Back to Muncie, yes, her question. So I came back, and I thought, after I graduated, I thought, okay, I need a break. I just want to go home and just relax for a minute, And that's what I did, and that's when I just lucked up on this job in the school systems, just as an assistant, nothing really serious, or I didn't think it was anyway, thinking I have my degree, I want more than this, But, that opened the door for me, though, to go into education. So I just, at that point, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do yet, and I just wanted to come back home and just relax and just take it easy for a minute. Plus, I missed my parents and everything, family, and so I just wanted to come back, and I ended up staying here. And I really had started working at Claypool, and then I went back and got my master's, and I taught at Longfellow for 3 years. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in the classroom for the rest of my life or not. So I'm just having all kinds of things going through my head, And then I started working with the NCAA in Indianapolis with a program called Stay in Bounds, and we went around to all the different schools in Indianapolis, and we taught the kids about good sportsmanship, what it takes to be a good athlete, a good student. And I thought, okay, the NCAA, this is really nice, and I'm thinking, okay, I took that part-time position just to get my foot in the door, thinking, hoping and praying that something full-time would come open. So I applied, didn't get anything, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So then I started applying all around the world, all around the United States. I was applying places I didn't know anybody. And I'm thinking, okay, Lord, I'm stepping out with some true faith here, some serious faith, Didn't get anything. And I haven't shared this testimony with too many people, but it was really something. I thought, man, here I am, walked away from the classroom knowing that I can go back, thank you, Lord, but I'm like, what else can I do? And I still didn't know if I wanted to go back to the classroom or not. So I was working there, and then this position came open, and I was really hoping to relocate. I really was. I was praying to relocate, because I really didn't want to stay around here. Just a little too small, didn't want to stay, even though I'm happy here. And I could, be happy here the rest of my life if I had to be, because I'm not here very much. So, I was looking around and applied applied other places, and this position came open, and I thought, this is perfect. I want to work with children. I love working with families. I can bring my psychology back into this, helping people, because that's something I knew I wanted to do, was help people. How can I help people, children, whoever, This position came open, and I was even the head track coach or assistant track coach at Muncie Central High School. I was doing that while I taught at Longfellow, so I was doing both of those jobs. And then the head position came open last January at Central, and so they appointed me head coach. So I got the job, and I was really excited about that because the program, we had really turned that program at Central around, and they had been going to state, Medlin, and everything. So I got that job. 2 days later, I got this job. So I had to go and have a team meeting and tell the girls that I would not be able to be their coach because my hours here just will not, enable me to do so. And so I had to have the meeting, which is probably one of the hardest things I had to do because these girls were crying. I mean, I've been with these girls since their freshman year, and we've done a lot together because I coached them in cross country also. I was the head cross country coach, and so I had to go through all that. The parents were so disappointed. All of them were happy for me because I developed a good rapport with my students and parents, or athletes and parents. But I told them there's just no way I would be able to do both. Just no way, and so I had to give that job up, and that's why I'm here. Yeah, so I'm in Muncie. But it's okay. It's okay. A lot of people ask me that, though, and I'm like, you just don't know. I tried.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes me feel good is I know that, after all that I did, all that effort I put into trying to relocate, I knew it was God's will for me. It had to be. I'm thinking, Lord, all these places I applied for, and had the credentials. So that was Him telling me, I want you here,
You can help so much here.
Yes, and that's my father's always taught us coming up, give back. You have to give back. And I'm thinking, okay, Lord, this definitely is it, giving back. So that's how I'm here. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But it's okay, though. I mean, a lot of people don't like Muncie and, speak bad about it and everything. But I think it's what you make of a place, And, I mean, yes, it is small, and there's not a whole lot of things to do here compared to other cities like Indianapolis, some of the major cities, but it's what you make of it, And if you like traveling, then do it, It's what you make of it. Yeah.
What are... I don't know. I'm trying to think of questions that I've asked, other interviewees, and it's always, what are your relationships with your children's teachers? But what are your relationships with other teachers? If there's ever a situation where one of your family's students has a problem with a teacher, do you step in and try to,
Yes.
the link or anything like that?
Yes, I have done that. And a lot of the parents, that's the neat thing about this Cape position. A lot of the parents feel really, really close to me, and it's because I probably, kind of keep that relationship open and keep that close contact going, And a lot of them feel really close to Cape coordinators, and I say coordinators because we just had this conversation in our meeting yesterday. And, a lot of times they do have problems with, a teacher or someone, and they'll come and talk to me about it, and I'll try to, intervene and try to help them in any way that I can. So yeah, that does come up from time to time. Not a whole lot, but from time to time. A lot of parents will come to me and ask me for suggestions, on things that they're having problems, their child is having problems with in the classroom, or, they're acting out. That's a major one right there. That acting out and everything. I'm kind of working with one of the teachers now because this student just acts out horrible down there, but when they come to me, she knows better. I'm just not going to put up with it because I told her I will take you home. I'm not putting up with it. I can't afford to. I've got too many others, and that child knows that. And so some of them tend to do act better down there with me. And I think it's just because, a little bit more stricter. And I tend to treat these kids as if I had my own, and the parents know that and they don't have a problem with it, and I think it's because they know that I care. And the kids know it, the parents know it, so they don't have a problem. A lot of parents are saying, don't call me Miss Ward. You do what you have to do. You go ahead and deal with him. And I'm like, thank you. That's music to my ears. And I deal with them too, But it's a challenge though.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought you were just start there. Are you, I guess, I really enjoyed the Black History program last week, and I wondered how much of that you're able to incorporate into the classroom, not just during February, but all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, I started in December because of December 1st, 1955 with Rosa Parks. That's pretty much the month that I start talking about Black history. And And then, of course, February, there's so many things to talk about and so many different directions to go. But the way I incorporate it all during the year is, there's all kinds of things that you can pick out from it. You have inventors, people that have invented things. You can talk about that all during the year. You have people that struggled, I'm going to talk about Wilma Rudolph, and that's because she went to Tennessee State, but I'm going to talk about her this month because it's National Women's Month. And I don't know if you know anything about Wilma Rudolph or not, but she overcame a lot of obstacles, and was able to do very, very well and be successful in life. And so I'm going to talk about her this month along with, other women. And then April, I'll probably continue to do the same thing because there's so much in Black history that you could just pick out and talk about, and that's how I kind of incorporate it all during the year, whatever themes we have. If I decide to come up with, work to teach them about a theme for a couple weeks or whatever, if I can pull it in, I will. If I can see fit to pull in a famous African American or something dealing with Black history, the topic, I'll do that. So that's kind of how I do it all during the year.
Is that for Latino American and Native American and any other culture?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it kind of depends. Like Thanksgiving time, we do the Native Americans and the Indians, Pilgrims, all that. But yeah, it kind of depends on, the time of year, the month, whatever's happening that month. And
to the kids' education?
I think that it's important for them to learn about all the different, nationalities and different races. I think they need to be well-rounded. That's just like with music, I think they need to be well-rounded in music, and our music teacher here does an excellent job. I'm right across from her, and I'm thinking she is wonderful. She's probably the best music teacher I've ever known. She's just awesome because she pulls in all different types of, music and styles and cultures and just all different styles of music, which is wonderful. But yeah, I think it's important for them to learn about the different cultures and different races. It's just important for them to know because they're going to grow up and they're going to meet all kinds of people. They're going to go to school with people. When they get to high school, they may go to school with, the different cultures, and they need to know about them so that they can respect them, And when they see a person dressed in African attire, that don't laugh and make fun of them because they're not dressed like you are. You respect their culture, their heritage, and that's important.
What was the 7 yellow rules? Or?
7 daily goals.
7 daily goals.
And I got that from Kwanzaa, a Kwanzaa book. And if you notice, those are all the principles. Those kind of reflect and describe the principles of Kwanzaa. Yeah, those are called 7 daily goals, and we do those all the time. We refer back to those. And sometimes when they say, Miss Ward, I forgot my book, can I go back to my classroom? And I'll say, oh my goodness, you're not doing goal number, and I have it posted in the room. And I'll look at them and say, oh my goodness, you're not doing goal number, and they'll look up and say 3, because they know we will be responsible. So that's how I kind of refer back to them and kind of relate them to what's going on with them, and if I see someone doing something well, I'll say, oh, I like how, Johnny worked with Kaylin, or I liked how Johnny helped Kelly do her homework, or Johnny gave her a pencil, I kind of refer back to them like that. So it's positive as well as negative. But they know them though, and I try to tell them that, don't just say these just for the fun of it. We're saying these because I want these to be instilled in you. I want you to be a doer of these words, and we kind of explain to them what that is and what that means, so that they can get it up here, and in here. So it just comes natural for them.
I'm foot on this thing.
About bringing in other cultures into the classroom, do you think it's important for the children to see role models of different cultures too? Because I know a lot of the kids, with the mass media, they don't see a whole lot of role models of people of color a lot of times. So do you think that that's an aspect of it too?
Yes, that's very important, and I like how the one positive about Ball State coming over, having students come over, I know we have the Ed Reading 430 tutors, and they have people of different, races in there, which I think is really neat, and each one of those Ball State students work with our students, so I think that's neat that they get to experience, someone from a different culture. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's like I said, important for them to be able to learn about it, so when this person comes up to them and says, I'm going to be working with you for the next few weeks, then they can receive them and accept them and respect them, a little bit better, just knowing something about them,
Yeah. I noticed in your Black History program last week, there were all different kinds of people that the children did their speeches about. When we went to Wilson for their Black History program a couple of weeks ago, it was almost all like athletes and entertainers, and we wondered if the kids were picking those people, because those are the people that you see anyway. And we thought that if it were the teachers picking, maybe they would have picked a more diverse group so that the kids could see examples from all different
Right,
places.
and that's what I try to do now. Maybe the teachers did this because I know a lot of times, you know, and I've done this before too, say, okay, we're just going to concentrate on, you know, sports figures, you know, athletes, or we're going to concentrate on entertainers or inventors or, you know, what else? The arts. You know, artists, things like that. So I know, I'm not sure if that's what they did that time. I know, you know, people have done that before, but I do think it's important to give them a variety, and that's what I did in my program. You know, you heard about people that invented things, you heard about people that founded something, you know, the first to be able to do something like that. So I think it's important that they are well-rounded and learn about all different types of people and not just, you know, one particular thing, one particular person.
When you were coming through the Muncie community school system, did you get very much diversity in your education?
No,
Not at all.
a whole lot, not a whole lot. And that's why I see a change, though. I do see a big difference than the way it was when I was coming through, and I'm so thankful for that. But yeah, I don't remember getting a whole lot. I really don't. Especially not like right now. I mean, every now and then, you know, Dr. King may have came across in a book or something, you know, or some other famous African American. But now, I mean, these kids, they've got a good little base, you know, on learning about African American history. It has changed, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Even the teachers here at Garfield, I mean, they've done just an excellent job of teaching African American history. I mean, they had their bulletin boards out, you know, beginning of January, and some of them still have them up, and I'm not sure how long they're going to be up, but you know.
Yeah, I was walking through the halls, and I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first week of March.
Yes.
Still sitting around.
Yes. I was impressed. Excuse me, I know they did a lot here too. A lot of the different classrooms did things, and they videotaped it. And each class is going to watch what the other one did, which I thought was so neat.
What kind of things did they do?
Let me see if I can remember. One class did, they dressed up like famous African Americans, and they told about them. When I kind of gave some of them the ideas, they all came to me, what can we do? You know, some of the teachers did. One class did a trivia game where they had to learn about different famous African American, you know, facts, and they did it that way. Another class, let me see, what else did they do? They did poems. A few of them did poems. What else did they do? There's a story about Theo, a little boy named Theo, and it's really cute, and it talks about all the different inventions that Black Americans invented. You know, it's a story in story form, and I think one class they kind of did that story, and they kind of got all of the inventions, like the mop, you know, the ironing board, and the stoplight, and so they kind of went out and found, you know, those things, and dustpan, you know, all these different inventions that were made by blacks, and so they kind of did that. So, yeah, they did a lot of neat different things. They sang songs. It was neat. Yeah, I'd like to see the tape myself.
Would you ever, have you always wanted to work with children? Because, like, I'm an education major going into English, and I can't, it's not that I can't deal with children, I just know you have to have a whole lot of patience working with kids. Did you ever want to, like, work with high school students or older adults, anything like that? I coach, you know, high school track and cross country, and I tell you, I think that's as far as it goes with me, because I subbed at Central High School one day, and it was, oh my God, it was not a good experience for me. I just could not wait for that day to be over, and I thought, man, I've never felt like this before, ever. And I said, the younger the better for me. And you do have to have a lot of patience, and sometimes I think mine are, you know, dwindling on down. But I think, it's always been the younger ones for me. Always been. Now, coaching, I can coach them all day long because, you know, it's different level, you know, and they respect you so much. They probably respect me just from the past that I've had, you know, with athletics and track and everything. But it's so much different. But I did enjoy my athletes, though. Oh, those girls, I mean, I still have contact with those girls, and we have a great rapport even to this day. And some of them are in college now, and some of them still run, and, you know, but we had a great time together. Love those girls. But yeah, the younger the better as far as teaching. Give me 3 years old, 4 years old. I may have to go younger too. It's a challenge. It is. It's a challenge. I work with the kids at my church, and it's a challenge. Big challenge. But a lot of that, I think, goes back to the same thing here. You know, the parents just aren't raising these kids like they did a long time ago. You know, it's just not happening. And that's going to always be, you know, a struggle for teachers, you know, and youth directors and people of that nature, because it's just not happening the way it was a long time ago.
It's kind of frustrating for me too. And I guess I can't expect everyone to be raised like I was, but man,
Yeah.
like, can I get a little help here? Little assistance.
What do you think caused that huge change? I mean, everybody we've all talked to, what is that? Because it's like everybody we talked to, they all had like really structured families, and then all of a sudden, one century came and it was just totally opposite. Everybody went to some buck wild. What was the change?
You know what I think it is? I feel strongly about this. Younger people having children. That's exactly what I think it is. Younger, people having children. Younger moms, younger dads too, having children. And I think that's what it is. That's one, that's one of the reasons. But I feel strongly about that. They didn't give themselves time to grow up, and now they have this responsibility, and, you get into the friend thing, trying to please them all the time, and you can't do that. You just cannot do that. But yes, that's what I think it is, younger. And it's funny because my dad and I have this conversation a lot, and my parents were young too, though. So now I'm like, now what is it? My parents were young too.
Young like? Very young. I'm thinking like young like 16, 17, or young like 20, 21?
My parents?
Yeah.
16, 17.
Oh, really? I guess you get married back then, I guess. You did get married young.
Yes.
But you wasn't wild. It wasn't like a mistake.
Different mindset, too. Yeah. Because my parents were young, but they were together on raising us, I mean, if we went to my mom and my mom said, no, you can't do this, we knew not to go to him. Now, we tried. My dad said, you guys tried that, But he would say, what did your mother say? Yeah. Nowadays, you go to mom, especially if they aren't both in the home, especially, if dad lives over there and I'm living with mom, and if I say, mom, can I do this? Nowadays, is mom, can I do this? No, I'm going to go ask my daddy, get on the phone, call daddy said I can do it, and he's going to pick me up to make sure see? And the kids see that, and I just don't think that's good. But yeah, I do think they're young. But yeah, my dad and I, it's funny because, like I just said, I mean, he and I talk about that, and I'm thinking, what is it, Dad? Because you guys were young too. And I guess just different mindset, different time period too. Different time period too, Nowadays, like my parents are both originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, and they moved here and raised their children, had their children and raised their children. My parents did not have anybody that they could count on. They didn't have grandma, grandpa to call and say, can you watch them? They stayed home with us. And if we couldn't go with them, only one of them went, or, we all stayed at home. They didn't rely on other people to raise us, because that's what it boils down to. Nowadays, you've got, grandma raising, and I'm sorry, but grandparents, I love them, but they just cannot raise, Most of the time, they just can't do it. They're going to be lenient. They're going to be, I look at my parents, and with my niece and nephews, and they're a little bit softer. And I know I came from a structured environment, and kind of strict, if you will. And I say that word, but I say strict, but it wasn't so strict till we didn't have fun and we didn't enjoy life, because we did. And, you say that word to some people, and they're like, man, they couldn't do anything else, and it wasn't like that. We had a beautiful life, But, yeah, nowadays it's just a different home life environment, period. You have grandma in the home. I have a lot of that in my center. They're living with grandma. Well, grandma's living with them, or they're living with grandma, or, mom and dad are nowhere to be found, and grandma's just all out raising, the grandparents are. So I think just being younger and just different mindset, different time period. Point blank, different time period. I mean, you go to the mall, you see all these young kids, and it wasn't, well, we didn't really go to the mall too much, but, I mean, even in restaurants.
Yeah.
Now, there again, I guess I don't know if I can say that or not, because we didn't go much, because we didn't have it, to go. And we went, special occasions or treats or something like that, but these kids, some of them eat out every day. That's not good, But just different time period. Different time period, and being young. I'll still go with that. I'll stay with that thought for a long time, because it's the truth.
Can you describe the discipline that you got when you were a child a little bit more? You talked about having to rewash the dishes if your dad found one that was a little bit dirty. Or did they take away privileges to take around you, or what did they do? My parents didn't believe in that sit in the corner stuff and 3, 2, 1 and all that counting. They just believed in when you did something, and they didn't whip us for every little thing we did. They tried to talk to us and all of that, but when they felt like if we did something, they felt like, like lying. They didn't like that. They didn't like that, and you didn't do that.
and they just took care of it right then and there. You know, they popped our bottom, and it was over, you know, and we can continue to do what everybody else is doing, you know. They didn't do the grounding thing. Maybe when we got a little bit older, you know, they would say, okay, no, you didn't do this, and no, you aren't going to that, you know, school dance or whatever, you know, maybe when we got older or whatever. But coming up, you know, when we did something, they took care of it right then and there, and it was over. You know, we were one big happy family again. You know, it was no, you better stop it, you know. I mean, they did that a few times or whatever, but when they were serious, and they didn't do much talking. It was, you do something, okay, I'm getting ready to deal with you, and then it's over.
And then what was discipline like in the schools? I don't think you probably got in trouble very much, but you probably saw people that did.
Yeah, they would go to the principal's office, and now back then they would paddle. Yeah, they would paddle back then. And that was pretty much it. I'm trying to think what else did bad kids do, or what the teachers would. I think they would like miss recess. I remember that. They'd miss recess, and they'd have to stand, you know, while everybody else was out playing or whatever. But pretty much they go to the office, though, and get paddled and pretty much be done with it. I can remember that back then. Yeah.
You had talked earlier about kids having too much freedom. How should parents try to change that now without, like, taking away completely everything? What's the solution to tightening up the family or in the home?
Probably having a schedule to go by. I think that would, having a schedule to go by, you know, maybe coming up with the schedule and saying, and posting it, you know, being visible and saying, okay, this is the routine, you know, once you get out of school. Because a lot of times, you know, they don't have no guidance, no structure, no nothing, and that's why kids are just kind of hanging out doing what they want to do, I think. But having a schedule, you know, so the kids will know when I get home, okay, I need to, you know, whatever it is, do my chores, you know, clean my room or do my homework, and then I get free time, I get to watch TV or play my video game or whatever, and then after that I have to read or I have to, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, just coming up with a schedule or something. And then I think, well, I don't know if I was going to say parents being home with them, because I know a lot of parents work and everything, but I don't know, because, I mean, parents can be home and kids can still, you know, just have no schedule, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to say parents being at home, but I guess my thought was if they're home, then they won't let them do, you know, all these things, but that happens a lot in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
You know, parents are happy to have them, you know, out of their hair, you know. But I think there needs to be some structure, though. Some type of structure. And then having rules, you know, having rules to go by. Because I think about a Saturday, you know, okay, there's no, really not a, you can't really say, okay, after school you need to do this on a Saturday, but then having rules to go by, you know, letting them have free time just to kind of hang out and do their own thing, you know, be it in the house or whatever, but having rules, you know, not just letting them be free, and just having no one they answer to. I don't think it should be like that. I think there needs to be some type of schedule. At least that's how it was with us. You know, I mean, we'd get up early on Saturday mornings, we'd get all of our work done, and then my mom said, whatever you guys want to do, you know. But, I mean, we knew that wasn't go out and hang out on the streets, you know. We knew we had to do something else. We just couldn't do that. You know, we could play with our friends or do whatever. Yeah. So it's just, you know, there again, those rules and what the parents expect, you know, their expectations, their goals for you, you know. Because there were days when we played a lot, you know, in summertime, we'd play outside until, you know, it got dark and our parents called us in and everything, but it was nice, clean fun, you know. Yeah. We were out doing Red Rover and kickball and, you know, but now you don't see that too much these days at all. I don't know how we could get that back either, I really don't. I don't know how we could get that back to those days where the kids are playing those kinds of games, you know, because now they look at you. Yes.
Everybody's grabbing a hold of that, and if you don't grab a hold of it, then you're considered to be behind. And you need that, you know.
Right.
I don't even want a TV in the home when my kids are growing up.
You know, and it's funny.
I have a radio for my news.
my mother, we have one TV, or she has a TV in her house, and this is like, even because we just got a new house built, but she told us she didn't want any TVs in our rooms because she wanted to come back to the family room. If we were to get together, let's all watch TV together, you know, because we're all out in college and doing our own things, but she wanted us to be at home when we're home, you know, and she wouldn't allow us to have TVs, radios, maybe. But in our rooms at home, we don't have, she won't allow it. She's like, you want to watch TV? That's all we put ourselves to watch TV and hang out as a family. Because we used to have family time on the weekdays. Like every Wednesday we used to do a game or something. But, now that we're all outdoor, our own things, it's kind of hard to get to that stuff. I used to hate that. I was like, what? I'm in college and you're not allowed to have a TV in my home? And she's still strict up. No, we will not have a TV in our room.
Wow. Now I have a TV, but I don't watch it much. I just don't.
Yeah.
I'm just so busy doing other things, you know. I don't watch it too much.
It makes me wonder, why am I paying for cable?
I know. Yeah.
I have one more question to ask that relates to your own education. When we were going through some stuff in the archives, we found a handbook from when Northside was open as a high school that talked about some of the different English classes. And two of the classes were minority literature and literature of dissent, which I suppose would have a lot of like civil rights stuff in it. Did you ever take either of those classes or anything like that?
No, I didn't. And to be honest with you, I wasn't aware they had those.
Really?
We gotta figure out what exactly that was.
Yeah, because we've asked several different people and nobody remembers
knows what it is.
Because I know I would have taken that minority literature class.
Yeah.
I know I would have taken that, but I wasn't aware they had that.
And nobody remembers them ever offering it. Maybe it was just in the handbook, and they didn't ever actually offer it. Nobody remembers who taught it. Nobody knows anybody that took it.
No, I would have taken it.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware, though. I really wasn't. Gosh, how'd I miss
Going through
that?
the handbook, I mean, that's the only thing that we saw as far as, like, actual classes. Like, my boyfriend is from near Dayton, Ohio, and he had an African-American history class in his high school. And so,
that would have been awesome.
Like, he and all of his friends were really into, like, social studies and history, and so they all took it. But we've asked a lot of people, and nobody sees them at all.
Wow. Nope, I don't remember it. I can't recall. I would love to someday teach an African American history class. I would love that. I would love it.
Do you think you will at some point? Like, not necessarily through school, but maybe through church or some other organization?
Oh, yes. Because I do it a lot with my church now, I mean, it's not a class or anything like that, but I do it during our, Bible class, Bible study. But I would love to be able to just teach, a group of students. I'm not sure what level, but I would just love to be able to do it.
Yeah. Why does that mean so much to you?
Because it's important to know who you are and where you've been. As a race, as a heritage, it's important to be able to know that, we've done so many wonderful things, and people have worked so hard, to get us to where we are. Because I truly believe that, if it hadn't been for some of those people, I don't know where, our race would be, And it's just important to know. It gives you a sense of pride too. You feel good knowing that, our people have done all these wonderful things,
Yeah.
And are very intelligent people and have done some marvelous things. So I don't know, I believe in that. My parents being from the South, we kind of grew up with that, be proud of who you are and be proud of yourself. And so, and then going to an all-black college, predominantly black college, meant a lot too.
And is that something that you, we say you got a scholarship too. I mean, was there a really reason why you accepted that compared to other maybe scholarships or other schools that you were?
Yes, a friend of mine in high school, Stephanie Purtle, she and I were in high school together, and she's black, and her dad graduated from Tennessee State University, and she used to always talk about it in high school, and she and I were really good friends because we ran on the cross-country and track teams together, and so we always talked about going there, and it was funny because I chickened out. Our senior year came, and she went after we graduated, and I chickened out. I was supposed to go, I got accepted and everything, and I chickened out, so the scholarship didn't happen right away. So I chickened out and ended up going to Ball State for a year, and so we were on quarters then, and so I went to visit her during her spring break, stayed in the dorm with her and everything, and she had introduced me to the coach, and she told him how good I was and everything, and so that's when he offered me the scholarship. And so I came back, told my parents, I'm ready now, and that's how I ended up going there, and I ended up getting a scholarship in both track and cross country. So I was blessed, but very blessed. So that's how it happened for me. But that was the best experience I've ever had, ever. I just wish every black person could experience it. That's just how great it was for me.
The school being an African American school, or just the school and your education that you got from it?
The education and the experience, just the whole experience of running track, and for such a prestigious coach as Coach Temple, he coached a lot of Olympians, and a lot of them came back and spoke to us and tried to instill in us some goals, as far as our career and running, and just the experience from the teachers, the education. I mean, those professors down there, they did not let up until you got it. They accepted excellence, and that was it. They didn't accept anything below that. You had to be up there. If not, they just didn't accept it. And I just appreciated that. The classes were smaller. It's a smaller college, and the classes were smaller, and you knew the professor, and they cared about you, and it was just awesome. It was a neat experience.
You talked about your parents instilling a sense of pride in you. How did they do that? What were some of the things that they did with you and your brothers and sisters?
They would always, they did a lot of talking to us, about, I think my parents kind of saw the areas that we were strong in, and they just, tried to help us develop that, by saying, now you can do this, and they just, we'd practice on things at home, like if it was, like speeches for church or whatever, or something for school, and, they'd make us practice at home or whatever, and they would just say, okay, now you can do better than that, now do it again, and, you need to do this and do that, you need to sell yourself, you need to, let people know that, and they always just tell us you need to put some feeling into what you're doing, like at this speech, don't just get up there and say, da, da, but you've got to get there and speak loud and clear, and they just, I don't know, they just did a lot of talking to us and told us that you can do this, or you can do whatever you want to do, and that's how they did that. And then education, my dad preached education, that's the key that unlocks the door for you, and opens up doors for you, without that, and he used to always tell us when we were coming up, you're going to need that when you get older. And so they just instilled in us just by talking to us and just by supporting us. Whatever we wanted to do, they were there. Whatever we were involved in, they were there, Yeah. And they made sure we had whatever we needed for that, like running. They made sure we had our shoes and made sure, whatever it was, they made sure. We took piano lessons for years, and I'm the only one out of my sisters that can sit down and actually play, things now. But, I mean, they were very supportive of that, even they bought us a piano, and a good one at that, and they just, I don't know, they just always went the extra mile for us. And I think it's because they, didn't have that when they were coming up.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that we had a better road to follow, so.
Is there anything that we're forgetting to ask about what's important to educating the young and to training the young in general?
I can't think of anything. I think I pretty much said. I'm trying to think real quick.
Or maybe a final thought or anything like that? That you, something that you feel anybody who reads the chapter or reads this book should know about Muncie and its history and how important training the young is to Muncie.
Let's see. Trying to think of a way to wrap up everything that I said. Let's see. How can I wrap it up? Well, I don't know quite how to say it, but I'll just start giving you my thoughts. I think Muncie is a great place to live, because it's small, and I think it's an excellent place to raise a family. And I think that a lot of people tend to leave Muncie. I've heard a lot of, older people say, gosh, and they're so happy that, I stayed and some other people stayed, because a lot of people leave just because there's so many other opportunities out there, But I think that, it is a good place to be and a good place to live, and we've got to figure out a way to continue to train these youth so that they will want to give back, to the community, and continue to make it, a even greater place to live, just by doing some great things and, touching people's lives and just doing whatever they need to do, I don't know how else to put it, but it's just important to train youth and educate youth so that they can see that, you know, they can make a difference once they get older in whatever area, you know, they see fit. I can't think of anything else. Do you kind of know what I mean by that?
That's good, yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I hope I didn't get too. I don't like. I hope I didn't get too off the. You know.
Oh, no.
Once I get on a roll, I can just go. Okay.
Because I was thinking about that. When you were thinking, I was like, okay, now what would I say in this situation? And
It's a hard question.
Yeah, just to kind of off the top of my head anyway. But I was saying how Muncie has always been like a hick town. It's real small. Nobody wants to stay here because they feel there's nothing here and this and this and that. But I was like, Muncie is a good city, a very supportive city of their kids and raising them. They're trying to, you know, throw programs and keep people here, but there's only so much that you can do. It's got to be up to the people.
Right.
And determine what to stay.
That's right. It has to be up to the people, and you just have to, you know, get in where you feel like you can do a good work or, you know, make a difference with someone. I mean, just like me, it just happened for me like this, you know. I mean, with my whole educational background and, you know, being in the position that I'm in, I was able to get this position, and now, you know, I'm able to help other youth.